Hi guys, welcome to Code Artisan Lab. This is video number 62 for multi-vendor e-commerce website in Django with ReactJs. In this video, we will see that how we can mark the specific address as the customer default address, right? Because at one time the customer default only the one address can be customer default address, right? So let's see that how we can do that. We have already implemented one thing that if default address is exist or true, then we marked as a check circle, right? So let's try to do this in a we have address API, and let's open the 3 number address and mark this and put here. So this is true. Now if we check this, here you can see that, right? But we need to also show the checkbox without the this green check, and let's see how we can do that, right? So if this, then this, and if not, let's see, if not, then what we will say, far, right? So here we have a empty checkboxes, right? So one more thing we can do, so let's change the color, let's say light, right? So not light, scan secondary, all right. So this is fine, okay. And one more thing we will apply here, we will say class, no, not class, we will say role button, right? So it will act as a button, right? From the UI here you can see this is become the cursor as a mouse, right? Here cursor, this becomes a cursor, clickable. Now what we need to do, so the logic is when we click on this green checkbox should be shift on this, and all others are empty, of course. So in coding, what we will do, when we click on this, we will send this ID address and mark this, update this address as a default address. And at the same time, we have to mark all the other addresses, remove all the other addresses, mark as a false, right? So let's see that how we can perform this. So first of all, what we will do here, we will say on click, we will say uh, okay, we will not mark on click here but here, okay. So on click, uh, mark as default address handler, let's see, default address handler, right? And what we will do here, okay, so let's see here, let's define this function. So function is, all right, here we have, and we will say console, and we'll say hello, right? So if we click here, what it is doing, if we click here, okay, console, it's consoling hello, all right. Now but we need to pass the ID, right? So what we will do here, we will pass the ID, 1 minute, sorry. Okay, and okay, so 1 minute, I will keep silent my phone, okay, right. So we need to pass the ID here. So let's pass the ID. The ID is address.id. uh, I'm sure this is the format. Let's see where we are passing. We were passing wish list. Okay, remove from wish list. Okay, here we are passing. Okay, so this is the format. All right, so we need to do this. Okay, great. What is that now? Okay, arrow function address.id, remove this. All right, so default address, and let's say address id. Okay, and let's say console.log address id. All right, so let's see the console. Click here 4 5, right? So let's update this address. Okay, so we have update address. We mark as the same functionality, update address, and input handler. We have submit handler. We will copy this one, right, and paste here. And what we are sending, we just need to send, we will send default address, right? We need to send default address. Okay, default address form data. Here we will send the default address. Okay, and address id, this is okay, fine. And then let's see what it is saying. Let's remove this and just console the status. So what it will do, let's see. I'm sure the name of the model field is default address. Okay, axios is not defined, it's correct. We need to fetch the axios. Let's fetch this. Okay, here we are. Okay, right, so let's go to network. If we mark this, then it is saying what it is saying. Response, this one, customer must be boolean. Default address true. Okay, this is fine. And we also need the we also need the address data. Address, this field is required. Customer, this field is required, must be valid field. So what we will do, okay, let's add the address. Customer is customer id, address is, let's say, address. Okay, it means we are updating everything, right? So let's pass the address also, address dot address. Okay, so now we are passing everything, customer address, default address, right? So let's see now. Click here, everything is working true, and now this is making the both address true. But what we need, when we implement this update functionality, we have to make the address only the default address which one we clicked, right? So what we need to do, let's do one thing. Let's just pass the address ID and default address. Let's just pass the address ID. We will make our own function, right? So let's remove this and we will pass this address ID, because we know we need to just send the address ID, and if we send the address ID then it will make the address default, right? So let's remove this. Okay, now we will say post and we will say mark default address, and we are passing the form data, everything is okay. Let's go to URL. First of all, let's go to URL. Where is the URL? Here, URL. Then open the views, and we have defined the function here, remove from wish list. What we will do, we will do the same. We will say mark as default, but let's set the URL also. So copy, and where is that? Mark default address. Mark default address, right? And let's say int pk, int pk slash, okay, and then we have mark default address. Okay, remove this. Now create the same function. We already created, I think. Okay, we already created. So now change the function. Method is post, then we are just need to do address ID, right? And then what we need to do, response address ID is address ID, sorry, copy address ID, and here we will say customer address ID is ID, and then we will say update default address equal to true. If response, then boolean, by default boolean false. If response, then boolean true, right? And it will return the JSON response. So let's see. Okay, so if we click here, what it is saying, pk unexpected argument, pk. Okay, here. All right, now if we click here, it is saying boolean true, and if we refresh this page, here you can see that, right? So we marked 3 addresses as default, but we need to do one. So what we will do, first of all, we will mark all the address as, we will say update default address false, right? And then we will mark this true, right? So when we click here you can see that, right? So everything is working. And here address list, if this status, what is status? Not status. When we click here, it is returning boolean. So if the response dot boolean, let's see what is the response status. Let's go to console, remove, click object data. Okay, so if response dot data dot boolean equal to true, right? So if true, then what we will do, we will window dot location dot reload, right? Okay, unexpected location. Okay, window dot location dot reload. Now fine, click here. What is this? Okay, let's remove this. Let's see what is the issue. If we click here, which one is this? 10th. So true. Refresh. Why this is not showing true? If I mark this one 14th, let's say 14th, this is true, this is false, this is true, default address. So let's go to address list and see why this is not. If default address and don't need this button actually, no, we just don't need this role actually. Address dot default address. Okay. Equal to true. Not sure. One minute, 1 minute. Object dot all dot update. Where are they going? 12, 1 minute, 12, 13, 16. Where is 14 and 15? What we are fetching here? Address list. 4, 9, 11, 12, 13. Address, default address, 15, true. Are we fetching only the false address? Okay, let me check. Everything is fine. Customer address list, list view, customer address serializer, customer ID. Let's go to serializer. Customer default address. Why this is not fetching all the addresses? Are we doing something wrong? Or what we are doing here? 1 minute. Let's say order by normal ID. So this is simple address, and if I mark this, okay, we need to implement the pagination here. All right, I understand. We need to implement the pagination actually. Okay, so let's add this reload. Okay, so here you can see that. So this is working now. Okay, later we will do one thing. We will get a we can see update state. We can show the update state here, but for that we need to fetch all the data of this address, all the address list data, and then we have to remap, right? So that no need to reload the page, then we can show the address list default. We will also do this, right? So we understood that how we can mark this as a default address. Later we will use this default address in the invoice, right? And in the next video we will work on the dashboard, and with the dashboard we will complete the customer panel. Then we will move to the vendor panel, or we will see go through that what is pending in the customer. Okay, so thank you so much for watching the video. Please share, subscribe, like this channel. And I have changed the timeline banner so you can see how you can contact or get the source code. If you still need any kind of guideline, then you can go to the multi-vendor e-commerce website, and here I have defined the steps, so you can just simple follow the steps and you can get the source code. It's a simple. You need to pay you need to pay few dollars, and then you can get the source code, right? So thank you so much for watching the video. If you need any query and support, please comment. And you can download the learning management system, and I mean you can explore that if you want to learn Django and Laravel and other things, so you can explore that. Okay, so thank you so much for watching the video. Let's meet in the next video. Thank you.